Yeah, exactly. I just dipped the carton in my tea. Hello guys, it's me again. We didn't made, at least I didn't read many books since the vacation, the summer vacation, so I decided to do a new book review because last night I finished the book that I started like mid-July, and I went on a vacation, then I moved out and I forgot about it, and I finally finished it. It's the book from Gail McHugh's Pulse, and it's written in Croatian. I read it in Croatian and it's about 400 pages. It's quite thick, as you can see. It's the second one from the series Collide, which I took a chance and tried to read it without reading the first one, just because it was looking interesting from the back and front, and it was just the type of books that I would like to read during my summer vacation. So I took a leap of faith and bought it anyway. So the first book, it's called Collide, how it's named the series, and this one is called Pulse, and this is the last one, so there are just two books in the series, and here is the end. So just for you to know, if this is your first video that you're watching of mine, when I do book reviews I tell everything, I mean everything that made an impression for me, and I don't spare details. So if you don't want to spoil the book for yourself and you actually want to read it, don't watch the whole video. But if you're not interested in reading it but you want to know what it is about and is it really your type, feel free to watch until the end and find out for yourself. So I have some notes here in my Dreamcatcher notebook. Actually it has 4.5 on Booktopia, 4.3 on Audible and 4.3 on Goodreads. I didn't read the reviews, or I didn't check anything about the book itself. I just saw it and picked it up and tried to read it. And it was really easy actually to come back to it and read it again and again and again. It was not like the other one that I started and I just couldn't get back to it, which reminds me I have to finish it. The one from Veronica Henry, How to Find Love in a Bookstore. It's also in Croatian, but for some reason this author, although with the details I'm going to mention, it made it more interesting to me to read in Croatian than the other one. I will make a review about the other one too, but probably it will be much shorter. Of course, if it doesn't surprises me. I'm interested to know if you want to see a review about Sally Rooney and Conversations with Friends, which is a really popular book from TikTok, BookTok, whatever area, and as a regular reader I just fall into that influencer, try it out, see how good it is, praise and recommendations pit. I fall there and I bought the book like completely brand new, because it was like published a few years ago, I think, if even not to 2020. And we'll have to check that. And I didn't like Conversations with Friends, and I wouldn't recommend to anybody to read it if if you're just, I don't know, if you don't appreciate your time. Maybe for one or two maybe for one or two chapters it's worth it reading, but to buy it, no. To borrow it, maybe. And in general I didn't like it, but that's another topic. It is autumn already. It's not that cold outside, but my nose was running all day today, and the rain started just yesterday. Before that we had like 32 degrees every day. I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little bit kind of stuffed, but it is what it is and I hope you enjoyed the book review regardless. The genre is contemporary romance, erotic literature, or fiction. It's on all these categories on Google. My first impression was, of course, from the cover that it's going to be an erotic book, and it is. Again, I'm going to compare it to 50 Shades of Grey because it's the most popular book in that genre that started the whole kind of not started but opened our eyes to that kind of yes, I would say that it's much more comparing to 50 Shades of Grey, is much more erotic indeed, and not graphical and so much sexual, although in the beginning until the middle there is lots of passages where it's mentioned what kind of sex they're having, but it's not repetitive, and there is not such thing as the word pulse, for example, mentioned, I don't know, millions of times through the book, and you get sick of the word, like 50 Shades of Grey and their code words and stuff like that. No, this one is a little bit more subtle, a little bit more detailed, graphic, but in a way that it doesn't describe the act itself, which is great for me. I don't like everything to be completely explicit. And what I wanted to say also about the style of writing, it is like erotic. It starts with a scandal in the beginning, which actually is following the first book, which I didn't read. And the scandal is about the main character Emily and her current fiance. What was his name? Oh my god, I always forget about this. The main characters are Emily and Gavin. They're like together in the first one for some reason. Again, I don't know the reason how they met and what happened in their lives before, because unfortunately this book doesn't give you a backstory or flashbacks like when you go to a sequel of a movie and you find out what it is, everything, you know, in that second movie, what was about in the previous one. This book doesn't give you that much information, so you can either make an assumption that what is the backstory of it, or I don't know, work with your imagination about what the author is giving you as hints from the first book. Gavin and the other fiance was Colton, I think. No, Colton is the brother, I think. Dylan is the first fiance that actually it turns out to be an abuser and a manipulator, and the whole relationship goes downhill. And all that happens in the beginning of the book, that scandalous part that I was telling you about, because like in real life events, I think it's a little bit more realistic than fiction, but probably because it has like little bit boosters in some situations is also in the category of fiction. What I wanted to say about that is that she was engaged to that Dylan guy, and they were supposed to get married in a few days, and there was some miscommunication about her love of her life, Gavin, and her, where she went to his room and found out that he was with another woman, but it was not what she was thinking it is. He couldn't give her the explanation and the reason behind it, so she got back to that abusive boyfriend, fiance, and she arranged the wedding, and something like that happened. And after that, there was like, the epic moment when the abuse took its place, and her friends helped her to get her out of this situation, and she decided that she's not going to marry the guy and started running after the Gavin, the love of her life. So it's about drama, of course, like I mentioned, lots of swearing. Oh my god, yeah. By the way, when I read in English, or even when I hear people swearing in English, I'm not so fazed about it, because probably because of the hip-hop, rap, R&B culture and pop culture, I'm used to that kind of language. I mean, unfortunately, but when I read in Croatian or even in Bulgarian, the swear words are too graphical for me, and they hit a little bit closer, probably because of my Slavic roots. And for me, the language in the beginning was disgusting, way too much swearing, way too much curses, and way too much of all that, because I don't like swearing that much, except if it's not about a joke or you're trying to explain something in a positive way with, few words regarding curses and swearing. Yeah, but not in a book. I think the author in the beginning poured a little bit too much swearing into the the whole drama situation, but I guess this is how men communicate when they're frustrated and under pressure. Well, another thing is that recently I realized that when I read in Croatian and in English, the difference in the description of certain scenes and situations in the books are much more interestingly described and vivid when I read it in Croatian rather than English. Maybe that's the power of the author and the way the author writes, or it's just because the translation is much more richer than the actual original of the book, which is in English. There's a lot of sex and babies, a lot of edgy moments. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Not only during the act, but in general, the whole dynamic of the book is really edgy. When I was like, it has a lot of cliffhangers, I would say, but not too much. Just just enough when you go to the beach and you are like there for 3 hours and you want to read a little bit, swim and go out, and I was just reading all the time when I was out of the sea, and every time I went out I was just immediately opening the book and reading as much as possible, in the morning as well, in the nights whenever I could. So it was a little bit that style of writing in the middle was really good and kept me reading until the end, where it got a little bit slower, of course. Useful information in the book. I always try to look for something that I never heard before in certain books, like phrases, words, or different scenario situations, or historical or facts or something like that. In this one, it was a lot about the laws in the USA and the restriction orders and how the lawyer system there works. I didn't know how you can trick someone that has a restraining order to you for you. If I am Emily and my boyfriend or ex fiance is that guy called Dylan, she made a restraining order for him not to get any close to her and her school where she was teaching, but in the end he provoked her in some kind of way to get in touch with him and negotiate certain things, and it turns out that she came to him, so she broke the actual order, and he had a lot of connections in the police and stuff like that. Would I recommend it? Of course, if you want to read something interesting, light, not too overbearing. It's a perfect book for the summer, and if you can borrow it, I would recommend borrowing it rather than buying it. But because it's so old, it's actually probably very cheap in every bookstore, and it's from like 2015, like it's printed in Croatia, so it's pretty old book. Not that old, but I mean it's not in the trends, and this is how it looks if you forgot about it. 400 pages. And what I wanted to say about the story, let me get into it. So the story, like I started to explain, was about the drama, supposed marriage, and she running away, Emily, to the love of her life, Gavin, which was so upset with the whole situation, and actually didn't get to understand what was the situation that upset him completely and fully. But I think it's a good practice to have books in a series that each one of them can easily connect with the others, and people that stumble upon that book can read it and don't feel left out after reading it. So he rushed, and of course this is the fiction part where he's very rich and he goes on his helicopter and runs away for Mexico, where he has a huge mansion or a house or something like that, and she goes there to search for him. They find each other, of course, reconnect together, and there it starts the realism part where they're trying to build their future together again, but they have this problem with that ex-boyfriend, ex-fiance, that is kind of really stubborn and hard-headed, and wants to get into their way and happiness, and wants to interrupt them as much as possible, and wants to torture that girl. And The thing is, the biggest complication here is that she finds out she's pregnant, and it's all very tricky because she was sleeping apparently with her fiance multiple times and Gavin in the same time, which was the confusing part for me because I don't know what happened, how it happened, and the whole time until she gets her result from the test. So the thing is that the biggest problem for her was to be in the middle, being pregnant, and trying to avoid any conflicts and hard situations between the two guys, where the one was really manipulative, Dylan, and pushy and trying to make her life hell, and the other one really loves her, Gavin, and wants to help her as much as he can and destroy that guy that actually was supposed to be his best friend. And it's really messy relationship and triangle between the characters. And along the way, Dylan is all the time involved into the medical checks, different events regarding the baby, until almost the end, when they find out that there is a way to find out who is the father without going through very dangerous procedures, as I will write it down here. Extracting some kind of liquid from the mother's belly and comparing it with different fluids and DNA particles from both of the possible parents. They kind of find a way somehow, which they didn't even heard about from the doctors, but online from a friend or something like that, and they find out that he's not the father, that bad guy Dylan, and that actually Gavin is the father, which was really well described how he handled the whole news and everything around it. That the whole struggle is around how to maintain that love dynamic, don't stress about the ex-fiance, protect the baby, tell their parents, his parents, because the main actress the main heroine in the book, her mother died and she doesn't have hey, I don't know about the father, you see, I don't know where is her father and what is about him, but I know that her mother recently died, so she's alone, and the only problem that they had was telling the Gavin's parents about the baby. They resolved that pretty in a civilized way, and that was interesting way how mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship functioned. Also, there was through the whole book a lot of games, and they have couple themed stuff, like every couple, they had some game with bottle caps and 20 questions, and every time they're feeling stressed or nervous, they start playing the game 20 questions. The game 20 questions is about asking random things in stressful situations, so your brain gets distracted, but the main character, male one, Gavin, was actually the whole time, because they're in a relationship only, not engaged, they're just partners, and the whole time he was asking questions while they were having these stressful situations, let's say about granite or wood, marble or stone, wood or I don't know, different types of wood like oak or timber, I don't know, different types of things, and she has to choose one or another. Ceiling windows, full height windows, or I don't know, some architecture questions, because he actually his dream was to become an architect in the book. That was mentioned as his career and dream career or something like that, and he always asked her these kind of questions, and in the end find out that after they got married and they had a baby, I think they had the baby and then they got married, which was skipped in that book. I don't know how was the wedding and where was it, what happened, I have no idea. That part was missed, probably because by now it was already on 370 pages, and if they had to describe the wedding it would be too long. Anyways, in the end it happens that they have 1 year anniversary. This is the last chapter of the book, and he is taking her on a dinner date, surprise kind of thing, typical tying the eyes, so he can give her the surprise. And it's actually a house designed by him, but with every different little touch of her input by answering those 20 questions through the whole this time, 9 months, 1 year, when they had so much struggles together. So that was a really nice kind of thing to see through the book, and really how he makes effort in different ways that she doesn't know about even. And that kind of relationship, I'm here for you and I'm telling you everything, but I'm not telling you everything the whole time because I want to surprise you or make you feel special in one point, and I'm trying to keep it until then. That kind of surprise I love and I appreciate, so I really enjoyed that kind of ending. And also for another anniversary, she did a surprise for him and gave him a combi of a car with 2 baby seats on the back, and he found out that he's going to be a father for a second time. So yeah, it has a really nice happy ending. I thought there's going to be a third book because I didn't research that much if there's many others in the series, and apparently this is the last one. So if you didn't read the first one or the second one, I saved you, I don't know, few weeks of reading if you read fast, or if you read as slow as I do, probably a few months. And you're welcome. I hope you enjoyed it with me, and that's the story of Emily Cooper and Gavin Blake, and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read the next books on the list. Actually, thanks to my friend Mika, I realized that I can make myself also a membership card in the local bookstores here in Zagreb, so I can actually rent the books and read them and return them every time I am done with them. So yeah, that's it for now. Bye! Hey, yes, I forgot to tell you, if you want to see more book reviews, comment below which books maybe you would like to hear about, and if you like this review, please leave your like and appreciation, and of course if you want to see more of my videos, subscribe so I would know that this information is enjoyable for someone. And yeah, have a nice time and see you in the next one. Bye!